Welcome everybody to my review of the movie Stepfather 2. As you can see, the tagline on this poster says, "Make room for daddy," and he's cutting more than just the cake. So first off, the movie came out 2 years after the first one in 1989. It stars Terry O'Quinn again as the evil stepfather. It actually opened, and this is done in a lot of sequels where the bad guy from the first movie, clearly, he survived after getting stabbed in the heart almost at the end of the first movie, and we see him in a mental institute, and he kills the therapist and the bad security guard, and he just gets away wearing the guards' uniforms, and he stumbles upon a new family. He actually gets his home shown. He actually goes to a realtor, which was his job in the first movie, his fake job, I guess, in the first movie, and the realtor lives right across the street from his new house, who's a single mom, recently divorced, and a son. So he kind of sets his new eyes on that. Also, she and some other people are his clients for therapy. He's a family guidance counselor. You can look at this movie as what was like the first year almost of the stepfather getting with these families, how he kind of wooed them and got into their lives and married them, and any challenges he overcame. Like in this movie, the husband comes back wanting to get back together, and she basically is gonna say yes to that, but the stepfather goes crazy on this guy and kills him. I do think the kills are a lot funnier in this movie. Like he says, "I think it's about time I break open this bottle," and he heads the guy with the hood and he stabs him in the neck with the glass of it over and over again. I do think this is funnier than the first movie, but definitely not as horror. The big finale takes place at their wedding when it's revealed that he killed someone, her best friend, and he did it because she was about to expose him for stealing someone's identity and just being a big liar. He kills her, and he actually has that famous tune he hums while he's jumping over a fence. The blind neighbor of the person he killed hears it, and earlier in the movie, he teaches the son the same tune, and he hums it right before the wedding starts, and she basically puts two and two together. Also, he had one of her specific wine bottles that she had, the person he killed, because she got it from overseas from her family or something. He brings the same one that's given to them at their wedding. That night he comes home after killing her, and she puts two and two together and flips them. There's a huge fight and chase, which leads to the stepfather being beat with a hammer and getting lodged in his chest. And yet he's still able to crawl into another room and look at the fallen wedding cake. And after the fight, basically the second to final scene is the bride and her son. They're all bloodied up and they're just crawling, basically stumbling onto the altar. Very cool moment. Well, for horror. Other than that, it was a very normal stepfather movie you would imagine a sequel would be. Now, I don't know if the third one is a completely new evil stepfather, because I know the actor Terry O'Quinn does not return, but anyway. And I do like how this had more of the focus on the stepfather's sort of drive and niche thoughts of keeping everything traditional with his family and how to do a marriage and whatnot. Also, I will say this takes place in oh gosh, I forget. I think it's California. It's a very famous area where almost all these other horror movies events happen in the real world. Looking at the settings for movies in the story. Probably said it really confusingly. But anyway, he escapes and he comes back as another stepfather for a family, but he looks the exact same as he did basically in jail, except a little bit of a different hairpiece, I mean. And just like in the first movie, he looks just the exact same, where at the end of the first movie, we saw him kind of planning to move and be with a different family, but there he looked a lot different. Here he just looks the exact same, especially when he's at this hotel and this bellboy comes in and he's giving him a paper and it has his face on it. What the heck? And no one recognizes him still? Anyway, What I love most about these horror movies is just when the world itself is funny or weird because there's this moment where the TV is going on. It basically he repeats exactly what the TV says about being a perfect place to raise a family and all that. There's also these VHS, I guess back in the day, instead of online dating apps, they had like VHS of women who would record what they were looking for in a man, and he watched those. And there's this one girl who's just completely silent, who has red hair. She doesn't even really she doesn't do anything or talk. And he's like about to change the channel, but he just keeps watching her. It's like she escaped the mental facility with him. There was more murders in this movie. One happened basically off screen, where he just stole this car from this guy to get to an airport or something. When he was in the security guard uniform still, I think so. This movie, Stepfather 2, was actually shown in theaters. Stepfather 3 was not. This movie is also free on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it. I will say the trailer they have for it online, it spoils the whole movie, so do not watch the trailer. Oh, there's another funny moment when basically this other girl in therapy, she's kind of annoying to him because she goes through his mail. She's like the delivery woman, and she's like super into this guidance stuff. She's kind of taking it like very seriously, and he doesn't. When the ex-husband comes home from the mother he's trying to marry, he is just really distracted during that session, so she confronts him about it, and he basically lies to her. Anyway, she goes through his mail. She finds something about like the person's identity he stole, about having it says it's a high school graduation, has his picture, and it's of a black guy, and he's white, and he's like, no, people don't change that much. Yeah, you're right. And then he kills her. That was probably the scariest kill of the movie. There's no violence or blood or anything. He just suffocates her to death and leaves her hanging, looking like she committed suicide. And also, look at this poster on screen. So there's the wife, there's the son, and there's this little sister and a dog. They're not in the movie at all. I don't know where that came from. Maybe there's a novelization of this movie that has those two as characters, but not in the movie at all. This movie does move really fast. Like, he goes just from meeting this person at their house and eating there to basically becoming like fatherly to the kid in the same meal meeting. And also, he like knowingly commits a lot of cliches in this romance type stuff, but I do have a good like, oh, you got me as the audience member when she tells him the secret about cooking is have someone else do it for you, and you think she's gonna cook for him, but no, they just order Chinese. Alright, that was kind of funny. That was a good moment. There's also a moment that I think kind of references back in the first movie, The Barbecue, where he just announces his love and, care with the first 5 people he sold houses to in the first movie. He does it here where he announces his marriage to her. So that's what I have to say about this movie. I don't think it's as good as the first movie. This was a little bit more small, even though there was more kills. A lot more cliche, I would say. A lot more cliche moments. That's probably the biggest down compared to the first movie I would give this one. With that said, I hope you enjoyed my little review of Stepfather 2.